10 days of jumping up, 10 days of waving up, 10 days of winding up. Vincy Mas, St. Vincent, my homeland of my birth. No sweeter place like Vincy on earth. It's festival time again, so I'm coming home. My friends them tell me I have places to go. I'm touching Salt Pond, Suffolk, Georgetown, Black Point and Garland. That is how I true Vincent does come. I'm touching Kingston. I want the oil down. Don't talk about strong rum. That is how I true Vincent does come. Sing oh, I am a Vincy. I true Vincy. Sing oh, I am a Vincy. I true Vincy.
Somebody take me home. Somebody take me home. Somebody take me home. Somebody take me home. So many places in the world. So many beautiful things to see. But none of it compares to home. I'm from paradise, SPG. So from the hills to the mountains, high. Every man, every woman, every child. If you go to be Vincy, put your hands up high and let me hear you say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Wave and say, wave and say. Take a drive to the countryside, drop the window and feel the vibe. There's no other place I'd rather be. Me Vincy girl by my side. I tell them all the while, we don't have no gold nor oil. We have wonderful people rich with beautiful smiles. From the hills to the mountains, high. Every man, every woman, every child. If you go to be Vincy, put your hands up high and let me hear you say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Jump and say, jump and say, jump and say, this island is mine. Wave and say, wave and say. Vincy me come from, and I will never sell out my heritage. So if you're looking for me, don't worry, you can find me up in the hills. I'm doing it the Vincy way. I wish every day was Vincy day. So if you're proud of your country, put up on your hands and say, from the hills to the mountains, high. Every man, every woman, every child. If you're proud to be Vincy, put your hands up high. And let me hear you say, this island is.
Yeah, this island is mine, it's yours, belong to all of we. So we're going to make the best of it as we celebrate the big 44 and the star. Morning time, it is 7:33. We're 27 minutes away from the 8 o'clock hour. Time now for us to get interactive. Time to get into the morning scoop here on a Friday morning. Joseph Providence, behave yourself. Morning to all, locking it already on our live Facebook feed. Well, let me say good morning to the brother himself, Sion Marshall. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This island is all of you, except those who pull it down every day. Can't be yours and you pull it down. Let me say good morning to everybody, all those who are listening, even those who pull it down. Hopefully, all will stop because it's wrong.
It's wrong. Totally wrong.
Morning,
Totally
the rest
wrong.
of the morning, Anika. Morning, Giselle on the live. Those of you who now, when I say good morning like that, understand I'm saying good morning to those who said good morning. So I'm seeing it because I don't know who else online, right? So I respond to those who say good morning to us here. It's a beautiful Friday morning here. It's so much is happening, and
What's TGFRG?
thank God for Alphonse House.
All right. Okay. I thought.
Or thank God Friday really gone. So we could use it interchangeably. We could use it interchangeably. Just a lady about I ain't come soon, but I need to come soon because I have an assignment to do in Rosal, so I have to come. I really could hardly hear myself. I hear anything at all, even you. But yeah, I trust everybody's doing well. We have a nice sunshiny day. By the way, if you're on your way, and you haven't gotten to Annisvale yet, the traffic officers are on the road. Uh, so expect some delays. All right. They are checking, I guess, for proper license plates. They're checking various things. So they're in the Annisville area, and so you can expect delays when you're coming. If you're coming from that side, I can't speak to the leeward side because I didn't come from there this morning. I didn't sleep out. I sleep home. Right.
Maybe you didn't sleep. You just didn't sleep.
Well, so if you're coming from the leeward side, I don't know if you have smooth passage, but I know that you would experience some delays at the north side when you get to the Annisville area. Traffic backing up because the traffic officers are out doing their job, and I commend them for that, and I hope that this continues. I mean, the thing is, you're doing it now when it's peak period. People try to get to work and so on. So that may cause people to be a little late. Hopefully not too bad. But I want you to do it consistently. Yeah, no, it's at 7 a.m. So you want to do it consistently throughout the day, throughout the weeks, at different times. It's interesting where when you're driving in North America, for example, which is where I did a lot of driving, it's almost it's almost interesting how everywhere you turn there's either a police car parked or somebody on patrol and something. So the minute you might look left and right before you do something, and you ain't see nothing. As soon as they do it, woo! We need that kind of presence because there is lawlessness. The other day I'm driving, two vans overtake me on a corner, and the vans having people. I mean, there is a lot of real lawlessness going on the roads, and I think that consistent policing of our roads would help to curb some of the problems, But that's just my 2 cents on that one. Then you're gone, eh?
I know we're gone.
Okay.
Something apparently is wrong
So
with our-
thank God, DRG, thank God, then he really gone, no? That Daddy ain't gone away, man. I love Daddy. Daddy, the evil stay. Right? Now, Denny, this morning we should have had the Palestinian ambassador to the region, to the OECS and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But we didn't coordinate it enough to have the excellency here on the show. But we promised that we'd have that interview for you sometime next week, that live interview sometime next week, so we can hear the Palestinian side of the story. When that currently there is a conflict going on in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine. So you know that. And the way that conflict has been covered for decades is usually the Israeli side. And one of the most famous comments you hear with regards to that conflict is Israel has a right to defend itself. And in international law, states do. So that's absolutely true. What you do not hear a lot of generally is what they're defending themselves from, who they're defending themselves from, and what may be the causes of the actions caused by those who are committing, engaging in the activities, and whether or not Israel itself is responsible for inciting any of what happens. You hardly hear that. But credit to the media. This time around, you're having a bit more coverage of the Palestinian side. There are a lot more commentators invited on the different networks.
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera is doing an excellent job, but even BBC and so forth. Some of the TV4 in the UK, CNN, NBC. You are getting a bit more of the other side of the story. You're getting a little bit more of the other side of the story, and I'm happy for that. So that hopefully the people who live in Palestine, the people like me and you, and specifically in Gaza, where a lot of this is happening, or where this is happening, are seen as the humans that they are. I was watching an interview with the British Foreign Secretary and the Palestinian Foreign Secretary. They were asked questions by the press. This was quite an eye opener for me. The British Foreign Secretary is very calm, and he's trying to give his responses as careful as possible, because sometimes when you're defending certain things, you have to be so guarded and careful and tiptoeing around it with what you're saying. And in the middle of the response, the Israeli Foreign Secretary blurted out, "What do you mean? They're murderers and they killed us." And he just took over the whole interview with a completely different tone to what the British Foreign Secretary was had. And there was a line in it where he said, "We live next to monsters." And I think that one line in the interview was critical for me, because Israel and a lot of the media have been very successful in portraying the people of Palestine as anything but people. And in many instances, monsters, so that you can carry out any type of atrocity against them. And the world says, "Oh, well, you have a right to defend yourself. It doesn't matter." So you are getting more of the other side of the conflict, and not just the side that the Western media and so forth, the US and the UK, Europe, tend to promote all along, that Israel simply put, whatever Israel does to Palestinians, to Gaza, they have a right to it's okay because it is in defense of themselves, and they have a right to defend themselves. And it isn't always that simple. I suggest people, do some reading, because there's a lot of information. Do some reading. Look up something called the Oslo Accord. By the way, I this morning let me see something now. Right now, this morning, I actually incorrectly said Oslo is the capital of Finland. It's actually the capital of Norway, not Finland. Right? But I did say in my commentary that, look, I may be wrong, so look it up. Right? So it's Norway and not Finland. So for those of you who might be interested in a bit of a context and history, look up something called the Oslo Accord, and just go through it. It's an agreement between Israel and Palestine, brokered by some states in the West. And it lays out some conditions that both countries need to follow in arriving at what is referred to as a two-state solution, where each of them would be able to have their own state coexisting, living side by side. Some commentators do not think that any of them are interested in the two-state solution. But when you look at where the conflict is going, you will be able to draw your own conclusions. And I don't want to draw conclusions for you. One of the regrettable things, though, that I see happening, and I will try not to stay too long. And by the way, this is a very controversial issue. This is a very controversial issue. People are not allowed to talk critically about what they see Israel to be doing, or suggest in any way that Israel is unfair and so forth. You're considered anti-Semitic. You're considered, a lover of terrorism and so on. So people stay away from this, and that's what I'm saying. I'm giving credit to some of the media, some of the news medium that have decided to carry out a more balanced, for want of a better word in parentheses, a more balanced broadcasting of the conflict as it is unfolding. You know, but yes, as I was saying, so do some reading. It is regrettable that I see individuals who profess Christianity expressing only care, concern, and so forth for Israelis. And those individuals are suggesting in their rhetoric that the Israeli of today has some connection to the Israelites of back then.
Right.
And they're Jews and they're God's people, and God said that they will fight up against Israel and so on and so on. So that state in the Middle East is actually the remnants of the state or the people back then. And so because of that, they believe that God is going to fight for Israel, and no matter who attack Israel, I can't be okay with Christians saying pray for Israel and not saying pray for Palestine. I don't know. I wonder if there's a confusion between Palestine and Philistines. I don't know. But these states that live close to each other must be encouraged to exercise restraint. And mind you, Palestine / Palestinians and Hamas. Just remember that. Hamas is a group, it's a militant group. And yes, definitely, there are people in Gaza who subscribe to what Hamas is doing and support Hamas. Yes, absolutely. But there are also people in Gaza who do not support Hamas. And then there's the West Bank that is controlled by the PLO. You remember PM went to Palestine back in 2011, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as a principle, speaks up on the issue of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And so I can speak like this because I know the position of our government on this conflict. The government supports the two-state solution. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines always asks for restraint. And there's certain things that must be complied with as part of the accord. You know, my partner, McGregor, they're on the live. And McGregor, you know what's unfortunate in all this, Denny? This is what is unfortunate in all this. Now I'll speak to the broader context. But what is unfortunate in all this, from a societal perspective, or perspective, is that a lot of young people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even McGregor age, young man, little boy, really big boy, little boy, are now realizing for the first time, wait, I thought Gaza was Portmore. I thought Gaza was in Jamaica and Portmore when Vybz Kartel say, Gaza, Gaza. And they about Gully and Gaza, and when they go in the dance, Gully side and Gaza. It's not. The reference is made in the songs by Vybz Kartel to Portmore that in his mind is a conflict zone. But Gaza is a part of Palestine where people live. And for the first time, young people be sitting up and taking notes and saying, wait. So Gaza is not Jamaica then. Gaza is not in Jamaica. No, it's not, young people. No, it's not. And Vybz Kartel is not the leader of Gaza. Who's the gully man? Is Bounty? Is that Bounty Killer? Is Bounty? No, is Bounty Killer? Who's the gully man, McGregor? I know the young people believe that the mythical Gaza that they sing about is Movado. Yes, thank you very much. You know, is the leader of the Gaza is Vibes Cartel, and he's coming up against the Gully, and the leader of the Gully is Movado. No, no, no. It's bigger than that. It's more significant than that. And what you're seeing in the Middle East is that conflict that don't involve Movado and Vibes Cartel, but involves real people, 2 million, 2 point something million people in Gaza. And you go to the West Bank and you have a couple million people more. That's what we're having. Now, let me bring it home a little bit. And we go in the segment at the top of the hour and we go take a break because we start early. So Mr. Andrew's in for me today. Usually, let me put it differently. The conflict as seen in between Israel and Palestine can be oversimplified. It's deeper than this, but oversimplified as something between the Arabs and the Jews. The Arabs of Palestine, the Jews of Israel. But the Middle East has a very significant Arab population. And so this can escalate and cause other Arabs in the region to become involved. And that is not going to be a good thing for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is not a good thing for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, already you've seen an expansion of the conflict. Nikki Haley, presidential candidate for the US, and Lindsey Graham, senator, among others, have been urging. As a matter of fact, President Biden said, I'm not even urging restraint on Prime Minister Netanyahu. Do what you need to do, they say. Nikki Haley says, finish them. Bomb Iran. Lindsey Graham say, bomb Iran and bomb their oil stations. Yeah, it has 6. Bomb them. That's not responsible talk at the time when the world is recovering from different disasters, COVID and otherwise. And there's already a conflict in Europe with Russia and Ukraine. You mean bomb them and finish them? Who talks like that? Who talks like that? Could you imagine what would happen if a large-scale war breaks out that involves Iran and by the way, Israel has already started hitting targets in Syria, the airport and so forth. So imagine that this conflict escalates and other countries involved and their oil locations are bombed. You know what I'm going to do to energy supply globally? And once energy supplies are disrupted in that manner, you know what we have to say, Mr. Grenadines? The cost of fuel, the cost of energy, the cost of consumer goods, the cost of shipping. It is in the best interest of no one to have a prolonged period of violence that would likely escalate. It's in the interest of nobody to have a prolonged period of violence where it can potentially escalate involving other countries, broadening the war. It is in the best interest of all peoples, including us in the Caribbean, to urge restraint, to call for the cessation of violence, and to encourage the parties to get to the negotiating table. But sometimes you wonder if even some of the major players involved, the backers, are interested in negotiation and a two-state solution. It's really unfortunate. Now, the Bible tells me that God is not the author of war, but is the God of peace. So the Christians, and I use that in parentheses, in quotation marks, the Christians who seem not to be able to call for peace, but instead wants us to pray for Israel and not for the Palestinians, and suggesting that whatever Israel is doing, the Lord is going to protect them and fight for them. That is your position. I don't agree with it at all, but it's your position. My position is that God is not the author of war, he's the God of peace. And he can't be happy with what is going on the earth between his children. Two groups of his children. Two groups of his children. Mm-hmm. And I think if you consider yourself a child of God, you should be encouraging and praying that the Spirit speak to both groups of his children and encourage them to stop the fighting. There are atrocities on both sides. There's significant death toll on both sides. The death toll from Israel has been quoted by the Israeli officials, over 1,300. The death toll so far in Palestine, over 1,600. Both sides. Both sides. Both sides have caused significant harm and death to civilians. But it can't continue. It has to stop. And there is a lot more to this, It's a lot deeper than this. But I'm not going into it, into the depth of it, except to say one thing, and I mentioned this the other day. Usually when big states, or rather, we have to, when we speak of international law, and we talk in a principled manner, we have to apply things equally across the board. When Russia started its aggression against Ukraine responded. And the West is backing Ukraine because they're smaller. They were the recipients of aggression, and they have a right to defend themselves. And the West even give them help, give them ammunition and so on. Well, if you look at the Israel-Palestinian conflict, the Palestinians have been under occupation. They've been besieged, they've been under blockade in their own land for decades. If Ukraine was facing what Palestine is facing, if Ukraine was facing from Russia what Palestine is facing from Israel, I wonder where the West would be. And that's the question I got asked, and that's what I done. If Ukraine was facing from Russia what Palestine is facing from Israel, what would be the West's response? What would be Biden's response in the US? What would be Trudeau's response in Canada? What would be Sunak's response in the UK and the European Union president and so on? What would be their response if Ukraine was facing from Russia what Palestine is facing from Israel, and Ukraine responded in a manner that Palestine did? How would the West respond? But I did say I'll go until the top of the hour, and we go take a break, and when we come back, we go deal with more specific local issues. Although I tell you, watch this conflict here, because if it escalates, it will become a local issue. We'll be right back.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
$250,000. That's the Super 6 jackpot from midday Friday, October 30th. It's $250,000.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot.
Out with the old, in with the new. In the past, you complained when we failed. We listened and went back to the drawing board. At last, a new, fresh beginning. A fresh face, a new product. International Standard Metals A792 presents Galvaloon, an aluminum roofing metal, branded best used for roofing material, tested and proven to be of superior quality. Get wider coverage for the best prices on the island. We offer a variety of colors, including zinc sheets. Also, take advantage of our unique roofing patterns, U-panel, industrial, and crimp Spanish style. Visit us at the Diamond Industrial Estate. Call us at 784-456-9900 or email bmlsvg@gmail.com. Galvaloon, a product of International Standard Metals.
Immortal Constructions.
Boss, I can't come to work today, nah.
Oh, why?
I have VHV,
What's that?
the Vinci Heat virus,
Never heard of it.
because it just come out today.
Hey, oh yeah, tell the boss you're not working tomorrow. Because on Friday, October 13th, Vinci Heat takes on French Guyana at the Honnestville Playfield in the massive CONCACAF Nations League qualifiers. Get ready for vibes, fun, and football. Friday, October 13th from 3 p.m. Bring out the entire family, even the little baba. Tickets are only $20 for adults. Children, $10. Get your tickets at the SVG Football Federation's office or on game day at the SVG Cricket Ticket Booth. All you see right now, Vinci Heat is on top of the table, and we intend to keep it that way. So on Friday, October 13th, we're coming to eat French Guyana food. Come out and support your favorite players in the massive CONCACAF Nations League qualifiers.
Class, beauty, elegance, and passion. Celebrating 10 years of international pageantry. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Miss Plus Size Universe International Pageant taking place on Friday, October 27, 2023 at the Porter's Estate in St. Vincent and the Grenadine. Showtime is at 8 p.m. sharp, and of course, you can get general tickets for $100, VIP tables for $250, and all red carpet segment for $300. See you on Friday, October the 27th, 2023 at the Porter's Estate, 8 p.m. sharp.
Orthopedics and Traumatology Center in Capital City, Kingstown, specializing in bone, joints, ligaments, tendons, and muscle health. We offer PRP treatment, which supports wound healing in the joints, epidural treatment for lower back pain, hyaluronic acid treatment for knee pain, and much more. We also do minor surgeries and offer X-ray, physiotherapy, abdominal, joint and pregnancy ultrasounds, cast and cast removal services. We are located at the junction of Level Gardens, opposite the Girls Guide headquarters. Our opening hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We also do home visits, and our services are also extended to the Grenadines in Beckway every Saturday at Dr. Lugo's Clinic. Visit, call, or WhatsApp 530-7866 for Dr. Santiago Orthopedics and Traumatology Center, where preventing disease, relieving suffering, and healing sick is our priority. October 13th, there'll be thousands of dollars to be won. A lotto jackpot of $240,000. A new home, car, or that college education.
Lotto, you have to be in it to win it.
Next Lotto jackpot, $240,000.
Updating or updating, we supply high-quality engineered hardwood flooring, luxury vinyl planks, and a wide assortment of stylish trims. We also supply wall and floor tiles and tiling-related products. How about your staircase? We have railings, posts, spigots in metal, stainless steel, wood, and glass to make your staircase a centerpiece. We offer personalized selection and shipping service from Canada to SVG. Contact Marlon on WhatsApp at 289-200-7649 or District Stairs on Facebook.
At the People's Pharmacy, we've put our mission at the center of our name. We are people-centered, and every day we renew this commitment to providing products and services that help our valued customers lead healthier and happy lives. The People's Pharmacy fills prescriptions promptly and accurately, and also offers a wide range of vitamins and supplements, plus generic medication for everything from an upset stomach to the common cold. We offer toiletries and baby care items, skin care and hair care items too. All that coupled with a friendly, knowledgeable, and efficient staff to ensure customer satisfaction every time you shop. The People's Pharmacy offers extended opening hours, 8 in the morning to 8 p.m., Mondays through Saturdays. For more information, give us a call at 456-1170. The People's Pharmacy. We go further to serve you better.
General Hardware still has the best prices on steel, lumber, and plywood. So go on, compare prices. And if by chance you find a better price, no stress. Just talk to the General, and they will beat that price plus give you special priority delivery. Yes, General Hardware offers free island-wide delivery on most purchases, so you never have to worry about getting your goods on site on time. Plus, shopping at General Hardware is a pleasant experience with friendly, knowledgeable staff always ready to serve. What more could you wish for, huh? So come to General Hardware for proper service, lowest prices, free delivery, and see why nobody beats the General. Nobody.
You can increase your chances of winning the Super 6 jackpot with a combo play. Remember, Super 6 numbers are from 1 to 28. Choose any 5 Super 6 numbers. That's a combo 5 for $69. Match any 5 of the 6 numbers and you will win the jackpots. Choose 7 Super 6 numbers for $21. Match any 6 of the 7 numbers and win the jackpot. There's more. Combo 8, where you purchase 8 Super 6 numbers for $84. Match any 6 of the 8 numbers and you will win the jackpot. There are also Combo 3 and Combo 4 Super 6 plays. Visit the NLA headquarters in Pauls Avenue or WhatsApp 495-6886 for more details. Super 6. Bigger jackpots, more chances.
Independence, Sunday, October 29th. All roads lead to Rawaku for the biggest gospel show to ever come to the shores of SVG. As New Life Promotion and Andros Bascom, in association with Digicel, Vitamalt, Frosty Dream, and Ministry of Tourism and Culture, presents SVG Independence Gospel Explosion, featuring the Queen of Gospel, Vincy International Gospel Sensation, Bridget Lucher. Bridget Lucher. This is going to be one powerful event. Sunday, October 29th. Rawaku is about to come alive. SVG Independence Gospel Explosion is brought to you by New Life Promotion and Andros Bascom.
Stop what you're doing. I want to tell you about Automarine Coatings. In Villa, right on the main, you have a car, you have a boat, and you want them look nice. Now with the automotive, they are the official distributors of the Max Meyer car refinishing brand. It includes car automotive paints, clear coat reducers, hardeners, body filler, compressor fittings, automotive body oils, you have coolants, you have degreasers. So run down and check them out now. You're getting a 10% discount on all automotive paints. You have a boat, bottom protectant primer, barrier shield primer. They also carry the anti-fouling paint, fiberglass resin, fiberglass matting. They have stainless steel bolts and screws, 2-cycle and 4-cycle marine oil, anchor chains, buoys and fenders. They have everything you could think about for your boats and for your car. So run down and check. They're located in Villa, right on the main. Auto Marine Coatings. When they reach down there, Michael,
outside to the warmth and comfort of the inside. No more barriers to that perfect panoramic view, filling out the entire room with natural light and cool breezes, creating that seamless transition between here and there. Discover the beauty of our bifold patio doors from Kendra's aluminum products. 2 spaces have now become one smooth flowing space with a simple flick of a handle. Blur the lines. Make your sanctuary spectacular. Enjoy outdoor living from the inside out with a touch of modern elegance. Transform your living spaces. A room with a view now belongs to only you. Visit our showrooms today and ask about our bifold patio doors. Another quality product from Kendra's Aluminum. Kendra's aluminum products exports to all islands in the Caribbean region. Call our export team today for assistance.
Kendra's Aluminum Products Limited, a tradition of
There is an easy way. Combo play. Choose 4 numbers from 1 to 36. That's a combo 4 at a cost of $64. Match any 4 of the 5 numbers and win the Lotto jackpot. There's combo 6, where you purchase 6 numbers for only $12. Match any 5 of the 6 Lotto numbers and hit the jackpot. How about combo 7? That's a purchase of 7 Lotto numbers for $42. Match any 5 of the 7 numbers and you will win the jackpot. There are also combo 3, combo 8, and combo 9 Lotto plays. WhatsApp 495-688 Lotto. Have 2 minutes.
Infrastructure development, source of foreign exchange, markets and vendors, bars, restaurants, taxi, tour guides, hotels, service providers, and many more. Income taxes collected for yachting and cruise ship passengers helps convince tourism is everyone's business. You really
Place like other bees, not to compare with sweet sentence in my although we are so small, we are always being called a unique society. mountains of poverty, illiteracy. We got it now as a juvenile delinquent. Steering wheel, I'm aware. It's true in our land there's a problem with education, and the living condition may be of substandard. But when you check people, don't bear with me sentence and regret. Although we are so small, we are always been a unique society.
Dante Constance, the Hyper here in the morning time, taking us up now to some 17 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour. We continue here on a Friday morning with the interactive program, The Morning Scoop. And Sion, we have Dr. Richard Barron Cox on the live. I don't know if he's hearing us, but good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning to you,
Doesn't appear as if he's hearing us.
Good morning.
I
Can you hear me?
think he's hearing us, but
Can you hear me?
Are you hearing us, Richard? If you're hearing us, wave.
Can you hear me?
No, we aren't hearing you. I see you. I see your lips moving, and I know what
I
you're
don't know what's
saying.
the
But
problem here.
are you hearing us? If you're hearing us, give a thumbs up. I don't think he's hearing us either.
I can hear you, but I hear you through the radio. I hear you through the radio. Probably I just need to go and get some headphones.
But he's not hearing us through the okay, no, the people on Facebook hearing him, man. They seem to hear him. So Facebook is hearing you, but we aren't. But how? What you say you're hearing us through the radio? What exactly are you listening to the radio on? Are you listening to the radio on the same device that you are logged in on the same computer? Yeah, we have a.
I'm using my computer, right? StreamYard. Hold on, let me check something here. You're probably right. Let me check something here.
My good people, we're trying to connect with Richard.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
All right. We're trying to connect here.
Because I'm hearing you very well.
Do you have the capacity? You don't have the capacity to invite on.
I'm going to see if I get some headphones. Just give me a second.
It has to be me. Okay.
Let's just try one more thing. Let's
Okay, we're trying to bring Richard in. Then he's trying something.
Okay, I'm back. I have some headphones. Okay. Can you hear me now? Hello? Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Yeah? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can't hear you, boss. Can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Hello? 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 I can't
get this thing worked out now. Sian, can you hear me? Hello. Probably I have to call Denny then, because hello. Hello. Hello.
And just then, the professor shaking Tani, they gone, let's honor them. Preserve their memories through our children. We got none to be proud of. Yes, make up your chest. The way shall do, yeah. Get slave drivers away from this country. He was the best. I know. We inherit his patriotic spirit. So time to express it now. Proud to be Vinci. Proud of you, Romy. Express it now. The black and golden sands, the Grenadines Island, the lost vegetation breeds relaxation. Land so spread away with explosive majesty. The Tobago Keys, the epitomizes tranquility. The botanical garden, Coachella, Piles of Balen. If scenery was currency, we would have trillions to spend. Every visitor must come again. We have none to be proud of. Yes, make up your chest. The way shall do, yeah. Get slave drivers away from this country. He was the best. I know. We inherit his patriotic spirit. So time to express it now. Proud to be Vinci. Proud of you, Romy. Express it now.
The veteran January Caesar the Sule Proud to be Vinci. Another classic, of course, here in the morning time on the Star. It is exactly 8:30, and we've been tinkering all morning, trying to get.
Because all of you have. Okay, let's try this now. Yo, Starboy, what going?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Is he frozen? Okay, he's not frozen. Right.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you very well. I can hear you.
Oh, you're hearing very well, and I'm sure Facebook is hearing very, very well as well. But we're not hearing you in studio. I'm not sure what is going on. We're not sure what is happening. So it's not going out. It's not going out on. Yeah. So Facebook is probably hearing you very well. But we ain't hearing you. So the regular radio ain't hearing you, but Facebook hearing you. Quite well. Cecile asks the right question. She said, "Where's Bling?" But this is about Bling. This is Bling. I believe Bling this morning. Cecile. This is Denny and I trying to figure something out. This is Denny and I trying to figure something out how we can use the system that we have, that we stream live with, to incorporate other guests. And regardless. But Denny, when we hold on, Richard, I think it's something there. When I've done StreamYard already, where you call me in.
Yes.
Haven't I?
Yes.
Yes, we've done that already.
Okay, so how does that work?
Pretty straightforward.
I'm trying to do all sort of things here.
Hatched into the system.
I think I know what you're supposed to do. Hold on. I got it. 2 seconds, Denny. Play tune again. 2 seconds, I figure it out.
It's set phone.
Beautiful nation, and the pillars it's on. Built on the foundation.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Firm and strong. Ancestral heritage of courage, pride, and bravery. Gaibona struggle to the last to prevent slavery. Chatouille, fight with them. Chatouille. Our sovereignty, our dignity, our honor, we defend, protect our birthright to the end. See, proud are you, Romy?
The people on Facebook sitting and hearing me,
Throughout the Caribbean and in foreign region, we make contributions that's second to none. Performing brilliantly in sports and in art history. We produce Pamela Strong, Miss B, McLean and Comfy, the Macintosh brothers them. And Alan Boy, Beckett, Ezra, and Jackson.
All right, I think we are kind of settled on, what was the problem. So, Richard, good morning yet again. I think we should be hearing you this
morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Cian is a genius. Cian is a genius. Cian is a genius.
Glad you figure it out.
Cian is a genius, Good morning to you all. Good morning, Denny. Cian, how are you doing? How are you doing? Right.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good.
Yeah, it's perfect. I can hear you perfectly, I know you wanted to get in. Let me get straight to it because, it took some time to figure this out. I know you wanted to get into some local issues, but I think, Cian, it is extremely important that the country understands why you bring this to us this morning. And we tend to sometimes, as a very small island in the Caribbean, remove from what is called the Middle East, which is actually Western Asia, and Northeastern Africa, if you want to put it that way. There's not, how could that be the Middle East? So I don't understand. Anyway, that is a geographical problem. So why is this important? Why is it important that UCN brought this to the table this morning and had some words to say about it? So before we get to the issue, let's answer that first question. Well, number one, I think we all have seen, we would all agree that there has been a vast expansion of the foreign relations of St. Vincent, right, Cian, over the last 22 years.
Absolutely.
All right. We have expanded our foreign relations. Our foreign policy is one now that is much broader than it ever was. And Cian, you mentioned in this particular case, the Prime Minister actually went to both Israel and to Palestine. I think he actually celebrated Christmas Day in one of those countries at the time, if I recall. And it shows that he understands clearly what the expansion of foreign policy means. Outside of that, this is a globalized world, Cian, right? It is said that no man is an island unto himself, right? I think it's Carlyle who wrote that. I don't remember. Sometimes I don't recall exactly who writes a lot of the things that I recall. But we are part of the whole. And no island is an island unto itself. And seeing a few days ago, you were talking about us being a migratory people going all over the world. A couple of days you were talking about that in the program. So we are part of a globalized world. And when these things happen, let's come to number 3, is that we feel the effects. The Ukraine war and the inflation that follows that followed that is a clear example of it. But we also have students in Russia and so on and so forth, In other words, we might not see it, we might not feel it, but it affects us and it affects us directly. That is why the Prime Minister, if you remember when the incursion, the military activities of Russia into Ukraine, the Prime Minister wrote to Vladimir Putin, the sitting president of Russia, on this matter, a personal letter, And so this is another example that we have to engage the world. But outside of that, let us remember 2 things. The first thing is that St. Vincent is a very small country, a tiny country. You understand? And we must, as a people, insist that law and order, international law and order, you understand, is maintained. If we don't do this, we cannot survive as a small nation. International law before 1945, when the United Nations was formed, and the Charter of the United Nations is what can be called the constitution of international law, the backbone of contemporary international law, okay? And without that, we as a tiny nation cannot survive. Let us be clear that there are 4 things things that determine your place in this world as regards power. You can have a combination of all four, or you can have three of them, you know, and sometimes two might work, but one doesn't. One is population size. So countries like China and India could call shots sometimes because they have that huge population. Other countries, the United States has more than 300 million people. You know what I mean? St. Vincent doesn't have that. Two, military power. In this case, nuclear power. Again, Russia, India, China, and so on have it. The United States, we don't. Three, economic financial power, okay? As you know, the World Bank and the IMF is controlled by whom, you know? And we don't have that kind of power. And four, technological power, okay? Countries, for example, like Japan and so on, I want Vincentians to follow me because I want them to understand what we're discussing. Countries like, for example, Germany and Japan, because of World War II, they don't have, you know, the size of military that the United States have, and they don't have nuclear weapons, but they have technology, okay? They have great economies and they have population. St. Vincent has none of these four factors. So therefore, how do we survive? We have to survive on the dependence, as you said, Cian, of a respect for and the upholding of something called international law, okay? So it is from that standpoint why we have got to be concerned as a nation, right? But as I said before, there are consequences to this. The world is in a situation right now where we have quite a few wars going on. But the major of them, of course, is what is happening in the Ukraine. And as I've said before, that has led to serious, serious economic problems across the globe. Now, let us come directly, now that we've explained why, well, I have explained from my standpoint why this is important to St. Vincent. And before we go into me discussing a little bit about the concrete situation that you raised this morning, is there any questions you want to ask me with regards to why we should be involved? Because I really want Vincentians to understand why the ordinary Vincentian need to have an understanding of what is happening. And you have accused me, and rightly so, of talking about people's heads sometime, you know, and not getting what I want to say across to ordinary people. So I don't know if you want to ask a question about that specific part as to why we need to be aware of this and why we need to understand it before I go on to dealing with the concrete question.
Well, so far you've been painting the background. I think this morning we dealt a little bit here with the significance of what would happen if it escalates and so forth, and the fact that we will be affected. So I think in a very simple form, without overcomplicating it, those people listening have an idea already of why we need to get involved, why we need to have a voice, except to say, like we've said before on this program, yourself, Dr. Gonzalez, and so on, that if we do not stand for the adherence of the principles of the Charter of the UN, when it is being broken, we put ourselves at risk, because that's the only thing that, and you just made the point, that's the only thing that we as small islands have to save us, to point to, because we don't have a military to fight off anybody. We don't have population size. So I think so far we've done a pretty good job, and you've expanded it in explaining a bit of a background and a bit of a context as to the possible impacts it can have on St. Vincent Grenadines. So now it's I think you can go into the specifics and address it from the standpoint that you want to.
Right. Thanks. I just thought I left room for you to add one thing. I thought you would have added it. So let me just add that before we go on. The other thing is this, that St. Vincent is respected across the globe. We have proof of that. We were elected to the United Nations Security Council. You understand? We are now temporary president of the CELAC process. Okay. We just recently, where Prime Minister Gonzalez headed the delegation, and we had a discussion between CELAC and Europe. Okay, and things like that. Okay, so the point is that it is the world respects St. Vincent's voice, okay? And in an issue like that, if we remain silent, people will be wondering, how come? You understand what I'm saying? Because St. Vincent is interested in making sure that we play our role as a tiny country in terms of international peace. I thought you would have added it. I left it so that you would add it, but I've added it now. So now let's get to the concrete thing. What we're seeing here in that part of the world, and in this particular case, this concrete question is something that has evolved over time. As you know, the State of Israel was established in 1947, and this was agreed upon at the United Nations level. Before that, we could go back up to, let us say 1919. I could go back further, but I will go back to 1919. As I speak, and you could look it up on Google. There's something called the Balfour Agreement, right? Or the Balfour Declaration, which was a declaration made by Lord Balfour in 1919. And this was the first time that they said, in contemporary terms, that Israel should have its own homeland. The Lord Balfour 1919 agreement, right? In 1947, the state was established. Now, if you look at the map of Israel from 1947 to now, you can look that up as well. It's easy to find. You would understand what we're talking about here, okay? Now, the idea was that there should have been two states there. There's not two states there. And I heard you discussing the question this morning of religion, and I want to take that and explain to people what we're talking about here. What should govern our behavior in this world to this year? Should it be our religious belief, or should it be humanity? And we understanding that we all have to learn to live together. Cian, I don't know what car, I don't remember the exact make of your car, but your car is different from Denise's car, okay? And Denise's car is different from somebody else's car, right? What we see with motor cars is something called diversity, styles, fashion, and so on. But let's take mangoes. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have Parlova, and we have Grafted, and we have whatever else. You understand what I'm saying? Let's take bananas. We have Lakatang and what's the other one called now? Lakatang and Gamshell, right? Yep. We have that and so on, right? In everything in life, there's diversity. Look at people. Some are tall, some are short, some are black, some are white, some are pink. You understand what I'm saying? Why is it that we believe that God, if you believe in God, God has made everything else in diversity, but there's only one correct religion? And in the name of that religion, you're supposed to justify the murder for other people. Please explain this to me, because I don't understand it, Sia. You wear glasses, I wear glasses, and Denny wear glasses. All three of us have what? Different glasses. Variety is the spice, you understand, of evolution, however you take it, whether social, biological, or otherwise, geographical. That is why the youngest fold mountains, the youngest volcanic mountains in the world is found in the Caribbean. You understand? Right? The world is made of diversity. Now, is either we going to have people who understand that contemporary society has got to be run by laws, and we all respect those laws regardless of our religion, or otherwise we're going to murder innocent people. That is what is going to happen. This is an issue of two things: humanity and law. This is what this is about. You understand? And there is no sense in a people who will tell me that, oh, the Bible said this and the Bible said that, and therefore I justify the murder of innocent Palestinian children, and I would only pray for one side. Then you don't believe in peace. You do not believe in peace. What you believe in is your religion. You do not believe in justice. What you believe in is your religion. But let us take the religion issue further. You understand, Sian? You grew up in a Christian home. Your mom is a Christian woman. But I know then he gets some licks. He did sing a calypso. You remember one time we were at your house, and you remember the calypso?
I don't know what you're talking about. Continue, please.
But we have got to understand, right? It's either in this world, we are going to run this world based on these three things: humanity, law, and justice. Or are we going to have war? we're gonna have people fighting. Somebody's trying to get to me. I don't know why people do these things to me. Just give me a second. Let me put this thing on silent.
You
Right.
know, Richard. You were making the point about people's religion, and as someone who grew up religiously, I've been with the church all and I've been preaching young and so on and so on.
Mm.
The point is, if you decide that you're going to live by your religion, one of the things that religion teaches, at least the Christian religion, because I'm not a Muslim, I do have 2 copies of the Quran, but I've never read it cover to cover. One of the things that religion teaches is the respect for the laws of the state. Hence,
Yes.
you have things like render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, which talks about things like taxes and so on and so forth. So that you cannot speak about religion and moral suasion without appreciating, accepting, and recognizing the role of the laws of the state in guiding everyday living. So it to me, there should be no conflict between a religious person and a law-abiding citizen.
Right. But outside of that, here, let's take it a little bit further, a little bit deeper into the religious issue. Right? There is the Torah, which we know as the Old Testament, okay? And there is the New Testament, right? In the Torah, it teaches you an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But what does it teach you in the New Testament? Turn the other cheek. That is what it teaches you, But let's take it a little bit further, here. You know of the dangerous road from Jerusalem to Jericho. People used to be attacked, if you remember. And a man was attacked and beaten. And a Samaritan passed by. Before him, you had all these religious people. A Levi, a priest, all kind of people passed by. You understand? And they left him there. The Samaritans, who were the worst people at the time, took him up. Took him to an inn. You understand? And tell them, take care of this man. This is the money for it. And if you spend more than this, when I return, I will pay you the rest. Okay? This comes from the Bible. I am not a Christian man, but I went to university. Before I went to university, I was brought up in church. But I made sure that, well, not that I made sure, is that they made sure that this was part of my PhD studies. You understand? As a student. And so what we're looking at here is this. Are we going to be governed by humanity, by law, by reason and justice? Or are we going to be governed by our religious fanaticism? And I don't use those words lightly. I don't use those words lightly. You see, what you're looking at here is this. Whether we or not, we can rise to being concerned for all humanity, regardless of what their religious views are, regardless of whether we share their view or not. These are things that we must understand. And therefore, what I'm appealing to is our reason. Now, see here, St. Vincent, let's bring it to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And let us deal with our own history as a people to understand what we're discussing here. See, and before 1838, all the black people in the Caribbean, generally speaking, were what? Slaves. And we were considered part of the estate stock, And it was justified to just murder us because we weren't people. It was justified to just murder us. There's a special Bible that was written for us called the Negro Bible. And everything else was left out. But it was designed so that we would always be slaves. You understand? We would always, yes, master, no master. That special Bible was written for us. Okay? And it says either we were going to break away from that and become free people as we are today or not. Right? We have got to understand these things in these deep dimensions if we are going to address this question. Now, let me ask you this here. Between us here this morning discussing this issue. Is it true to say that the religion we have today is Judeo-Christianity? In other words, the Old Testament plus the New Testament, right? That is where we come from. That is the religious culture, the religious history that we have, right?
Well, the thing is, I heard the term and I understand that, but I had to make a post. I had to make a post on Facebook yesterday because I know some religions actively reject the relevance of aspects of the Old Testament. And they would say, that's the Old Testament, but Christ came in the New Testament, and this is what pertains now. But you still read the Old Testament. And I was making the point that you reject the relevance of some doctrines in the Old Testament, but when you want to justify what Israel is doing, you jump to the same Old Testament, So I just had to say that from the Judeo-Christianity standpoint. But the use of the Bible, and before you continue, please don't lose your train of thought. I remember having a discussion with a friend of mine, a lady. She's the daughter of one of our prominent preachers here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And she said, but the Bible says, and I said, but your point of reference of the Bible can't be used in a conflict where the parties involved, each of the two parties involved, has a different holy book. So to use the Bible as the point of reference and the governing document in a conflict where the other party would reference the Quran, to me, makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. But I just had to throw that in.
No, but you were actually going along the road I wanted to take us. You actually were going along the road. That's exactly where I wanted to take us. It is said in the Bible that the sheep and the goat, the wheat and the corn shall go together. You understand what I'm saying? And on the day of judgment, the man upstairs will decide. Isn't that true? Right. That's what the Bible teaches you. Now, who are you there for? You understand? Who are you there for? To say, well, you know what? We are going to pray for Israel, and we're going to pray for Israel, and we will justify every single inhumane act in the name of my religion. No, this is madness. This is absolute madness. The long and short of it is this here, that we have got, as I have pointed out, from autocars to glasses, you understand, from mango trees to bananas, you understand, from animals, you name it. Just lizards alone, there's so many different types of lizards. There's so many different types of worms. If you believe in creationism itself teaches that that difference, so to speak, that biodiversity difference, so to speak. And we as a people, Vincentians as a people, must be governed by reason. We must be governed by logic. We must be governed by law. We must be governed by a love for humanity. And we must be governed by a love for justice. These are things that we need to be governed by. Religion, as you and I know, Sian, in our country today, a religion, in the name of religion, people were burned up, young people were burned up with hot water. 4-year-old children are being raped, and so on and so on. And I, Richard Byron Cox, I have seen where mothers justify that kind of thing. I had a battle on Facebook with a woman who has a daughter and a granddaughter. And when the issue of a 4-year-old girl was raped continually by a man who says he's a preacher. And I said, but this thing is wrong. You know what was her answer, Siam? He who has no sin, let him cast the first stone. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a mother with a daughter and a granddaughter preaching that kind of nonsense? Now, let us bring it home, Siam. In our practice of foreign policy so far, over the last 22 or so years, we have shown to the world that we are reasonable people. we have shown to the world that we are willing to ensure that the principles of contemporary international law, meaning International Law Form 1945 and beyond, should be upheld by all, not by some. You understand?
Right.
And that is why Prime Minister Gonzalez said Russia must not drive a virtual horse and chariot through contemporary international law. You understand what I'm saying? But we all must uphold it, right? And so we in our practice of foreign policy, right? We have tried, we continue to try to be fair and to be just. I said I want to bring it home, and I really want to bring it home. See, St. Vincent and the Grenadines today have an international airport. You and I know, the Prime Minister said so. It's thanks to some people we call communists, who we were taught to hate, and who the NDP to this day still teaches us to hate. When we build in the airport, excuse me, I didn't get that. Sian, you with me? Yeah, you're still with me? Or can you hear me?
Nobody said anything. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, great. So, you know, and they tell us
we hear you very well. We hear you very well. Yeah.
Great. And they tell us, well, you know what? If we take some money from Venezuela to build the airport, what would America say? What would America say? You understand? So if we were to follow that, you know what, Sian? We wouldn't have an international airport today. We would not have one. You know? Prime Minister Gonzalez tells us that he went to Fidel and he talked to Fidel. Fidel say, hold on. It was Fidel who called. If I'm lying, then Prime Minister is lying himself. It was Fidel who called Hugo and said, Hugo, listen to me. You have to come up here, we have to talk. And when Hugo came up, Fidel said to Hugo, you have to build this airport for Ralph. You have to build this airport for Ralph. Ralph needs this airport and you will build it, give him. You understand? Now, what I'm trying to tell you, why am I using that? Because I want to bring it home. If we were governed purely by this nonsensical ideology business, we wouldn't have the airport. And you know what Ralph said? This is what Ralph Gonzalez said. We will build this by the coalition of what? The willing. And so Ralph brought communists, rightists, leftists, Muslim, everybody together to do what? Build the airport. Have we suffered from it?
Yes.
Have we suffered from it? Have we hurt anybody in doing this? What Ralph embraced was the diversity of our world today for the good of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for the good of our people. That is what we have to do. We have to embrace the diversity of this world today, religious and otherwise, for the good of all humanity. That is the point I want to make. And we are practicing that at the level of our foreign policy. It is necessary for all Vincentians to understand this. And this nonsense being preached in church, that because some people are Israelis and some other people are so-called Palestinians, then one have the right to destroy the other. This is wrong. This is absolute nonsense. And those who don't like what I'm saying this morning, and I'm talking directly to the church, I don't have anything against you or your religion. I'm not a religious man. And Sian, I think you will testify. I think you will testify to this. You lived in Azerbaijan for 2 years. Not a single Muslim has ever tried to tell you you must become a Muslim. Am I correct on this?
You are correct on that.
You understand?
And I had quite a number of, well, the Azerbaijan is 95% Muslim.
Exactly.
And I've never had that. That's where I got my copy of the Quran that I talked about a while ago. You know, we had a discussion, but no, nobody ever tried to convert me.
And I want to ask you another question. Please, I
Also,
don't want to put you in.
Let me say this as well. Also, in Azerbaijan, I never once had a feeling of being unsafe. I would go jogging, especially this summer when the sun would set at 9:30. I would go jogging at 10:30, run to neighborhoods I don't even know, and get back home. I mean, people would stare at me. because of my color and so on. But at no time did anyone ever did I feel at all less than safe, ever, ever, ever.
And I want to answer a very concrete question. Based on these people's religious belief, did you find them to be intrinsically evil?
Actually,
Would
it
you
was quite
say
the
that?
it was quite the opposite. I found them to be some very caring, very, very, very loving, kind people. I'm telling you, my experience in Azerbaijan, living among Muslims, was quite an enriching experience. And I'll tell you, even further, and I made the point, I think that experience gave me a better understanding of the whole idea of Islam, and helped significantly to remove a lot of the stereotypes that previously had been I was accustomed to, and specifically on the Palestinian question, because I met and studied with two Palestinians, a young lady who was at the time about 23, 24 years old, and a young man, and to hear them tell me directly their experiences, those experiences, those conversations really helped me to have a completely different mindset on the issue, first of all, of Islam versus Christianity and of the Palestinian question. So I really thank the government for the opportunity, because it has really it was really an enriching experience.
Yes, and I'm so happy, Sian. I'm so happy that you can be honest and straightforward with our people and explaining to them not something that you see and read in a book, not something that you see and think about, or not something that Richard Byron Cox or Anthony Daly has convinced you about, something that you have lived. Something
Yes,
see and
absolutely.
have lived. You have lived it, Sian. You have lived it. Now, how in heaven's name, we as a people get to this point where churches, could justify that kind of inhumanity, that kind of evil? You understand? We are better than this, Sian. We are better as a nation than this. In as much, Sian, let me tell you this, Sian, I will never, ever support the complete banning of the death penalty. Never, ever. Do you know why? Because there are some people who wantonly murder other people. And my mother taught me as a little boy, Richard, what you don't like, you must not give.
Give.
What you
The Bible
don't like.
teaches that as well. The Bible
You
teaches
must-
that as well. It says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Precisely the point. Precisely the point. So I thought I needed to make a little contribution to what you were saying this morning. And that is why I felt that we should have this exchange.
And I really appreciate the exchange, Richard. And based on the comments from our listeners on the live stream, they're appreciating it as well. Because we cannot cloud or cover some of our imperfections in the excuse of Christianity that, he who is without sin cast the first stone, or no man is perfect. We do have a responsibility, even in our imperfections, to adhere to certain basic principles consistently. And yes, we make mistakes. Yes, we make mistakes. But it really struck me that in the same way the church riled against its members being part of a collective, a society, and practicing collective responsibility during the COVID pandemic, in the same way the church, in my view, clearly came out against the biblical idea of being your brother's keeper. I find it disturbing that church leaders and people professing to be children of God who preach love and care seem to be coming out in the middle of a conflict and saying, we're only concerned about one side. That to me was so disturbing. I didn't see a single one of them say, let's pray for the individuals in the conflict, or let's pray for the parties in the conflict. No, it was pray for Israel. And this text said, Lord shall fight for Israel. And this text, and I'm thinking, hold on, is that the God y'all want me serve? The God of one side? But I thought he was the God of everybody.
Precisely.
And so I cannot serve your God of one side. I am sorry. I cannot serve your God of one side. I will serve a God that says, these are all my children, and what is going on between these two groups of my children is wrong, and we need to stop that.
Yes.
Because my will is not for anybody to perish, and my will is not for anybody to suffer, but for everybody to prosper.
And everybody should come to redemption. Everybody should come to redemption.
That's the point. So that to me, the brokers of peace, people say Christians should be brokers of peace and love, seem to just one side, and that disturbed me.
Yes, and I couldn't agree with you more, because ultimately I think that we as a people, as a nation, we don't want to go out to the world and to other people and say, we are totally intolerant of you, and we hate you, and we despise you, and so on and so on, simply because you don't share our belief. We don't see you as a human being, and we don't see your human value simply because you don't share our religious belief. You understand? And we will condone rather than condemn anything that is done against you purely because you don't share our religious view. Isn't that madness here?
That is madness.
Isn't that madness? That we will condone anything done against you, regardless of how innocent you are. We will be merciless to you purely because you don't share our religious view. I think this is terrible. I think this is terribly wrong, Cian. I think this is terribly, terribly wrong. And this is why I felt that I needed to call in this morning and talk about this matter.
A lot of it has to do with media indoctrination, though, because you understand, when you were growing up, every Asian was referred to the Chinese, because we saw Chinese movies.
Yes.
And our characterization of Chinese, because we didn't understand and recognize that what you had was a voice-over of the movie, and so what was being shown in the movie was not what was coming through the audio, because there was a voiceover. We characterize the visuals, the Chinese language, as something where the lips move different from the actual song.
Yes.
No, you know what I'm saying? No, if you remember, there was a series of movies.
No, I laugh because I remember it. I remember it happening to me. So that is why I'm laughing, because I remember it happening to me.
In the movie, actually, the police academy, there was this black guy who would always do the impersonation, and his mouth would be going. And then after he did it 15 times, then the word would come out and so forth. Because that was how, from our viewing of television, that was how we understood the Chinese quote-unquote language.
Yes.
To be formulated. And so for many, many, many years, we've also been told that Muslims are bad, Muslims are warriors, because there is a small of the millions of Muslims in the world, there's a small group that are extremists, and they carry out atrocities, and so that's what Islam is about. But the same thing happens when you have priests and others engaging in sexual misconduct and so forth in Christianity. You don't hear them saying, well, that's what Christianity is about. When Christians perpetuate wars, which many of the countries have done, or when Christians perpetuate slavery, you do not hear anybody saying that's Christianity. They say, no, that's just a few. And the wheat and the tares will go together, and they find all of the justification why you cannot clump Christianity and Christians as part of the misconduct of a few individuals who call themselves Christians. But that's what media indoctrination has done to a religion of millions or billions of people, called Muslims and Islam. And so we developed this idea and this stereotype in the same way. And let me just draw a parallel. In the same way, media stereotypes and so forth have been built up about black people.
Precisely. I was
It's the
coming to
same
that.
way it's being done to Muslims and so forth. And so really and truly, and Arabs and so on, really and truly, as black people who suffered for 400 years of slavery and still suffer segregation and so forth, we should be the last person.
Brilliant.
Last people.
Brilliant.
Not
Brilliant.
on a wagon. That's
Brilliant.
discrimination
Brilliant.
and dehumanization of a people. We should be the last people.
If there is a people over the last 2,000 years, apart from the Crusades that began in the 10th century, as you know, Sian, right? If there's a people who have been dehumanized in every way, shape, or form, is black people, purely on the color of their skin, irrespective of their religion. You understand? Marley, Robert Nesta Marley, made a song called War, right? And that song is really a speech given by Haile Selassie in 1933 to what was then the League of Nations, which was formed after the Versailles Treaty of 1919, after the First World War. And it says this, and until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, there will be war. And until a man's personal belief, religious or otherwise, remains that, you understand, and does not determine how he treats another human being like himself, there will be war. We have to understand this business. And the reason I call into this program, let me say this now, is because I think you are fundamentally, apart from the political aspect of your work, I think you're fundamentally involved in educating Vincentians. You understand? I think you're fundamentally involved in that. And I felt that I needed to add to that education. Okay? Because you made it quite clear, that, well, you might think it don't affect us, but it does. You understand? And what we are looking at here, Sian, is this. This is the important key question, is that most of us probably don't even see materially how it affects us. You understand? But here we're dealing with the human mind. And so, as the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is. You understand? And when you have to think, or when you think that someone could be simply destroyed, mutilated, dismissed, purely because of your religious view, this is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous thing.
I agree.
We have got to be better than this. We have got to have hearts. We have got to have soul. We have got to have minds which are concerned with humanity, not with our religious belief, first and foremost, with our humanity. And if we see that, we would understand the brotherhood of all men, regardless. As Martin Luther King Jr. put it, Jews and Gentiles, Christians and Catholics. And we can all join hands and say, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. We will only be free when we understand that each people, each person, each man, each woman has a right to his creed that is written in the Constitution of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a constitutional position. And that is why in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have 7-day, we have Muslim, we have everybody. You understand what I'm saying? And we have lived peacefully over the years. There has not been a single religious war in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I will close by saying this. If we continue down the road, then we will sooner or later become intolerant of our own Muslim population. We know for a fact that a lot of what went on in Northern Ireland had a lot to do with religion. You understand? And at the peace at Westphalia in 1648, they said the Christian nations. That's what they say now. And so they turn now against everybody else. And populations, the Incas and so on, were completely liquidated. Guess why?
Because
one of the reasons for this, they weren't Christian. And it was Europeans' job to Christianize these people.
Like the whole world.
And so doing, they turned Latin America into a sea of blood. This thing is not good. And so thank you very much for entertaining me this morning. I'm really happy that I was able to add to what you're trying to do in terms of educating our people and let them understand we need to move away from this. So thank you very much.
First of all, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was doing it. But secondly, let me say that...
But when I said trying, what I meant is that...
It's okay, Richard. It's okay now. You got
the outcome might not necessarily be what you and I want.
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm also trying. I am trying. Whether the outcome will come yes or no is another matter altogether.
Remember, you could carry donkey to standpipe, but...
Exactly my point. You carry them and you try to make them drink in a bed, but you drink in a water drink. What you going to do?
Now, you spoke, and I'm going to ask Denny to look for the pappy for me, please, because you made the point about freedom, and I remember Pappy in his Calypso years ago, in addressing the issue of apartheid in South Africa, he said, "No man is free until all men are free everywhere." And I want to look for that for me, please, because we have to understand that we cannot, as part of a world, as part of a global village, we cannot sit back in our corner. And they said, well, we got to know something really care about them the other day.
Yeah.
It's the reason why Cuba sent troops to Africa. It's the reason why nations across the world supported the ANC and the plight of South Africans during the apartheid regime. It's the reason why there's global solidarity for oppressed people. And it cannot be disputed. It cannot be disputed that the Palestinians are living a life of significant, serious oppression. Serious oppression. And I'm not trying to justify any actions from anybody. I'm simply telling you what every international agency has said. The agencies refer to Gaza as an open air prison. Some have referred to it as a concentration camp.
But there are those like George Galloway and so on who would tell you that what you're seeing is consistent genocide of a people.
Yes.
There are people with that position. There are people with that position. But the world is united in the fact that justice is not being done to these people. You understand? There are those
thank you very much,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You were saying, go ahead.
Yeah. There are those who will fail, Sian, to understand that we are making an appeal in the interest of all humanity. There was a man named John Lennon, and he wrote a song called Imagine. One of these days, I'm sure you know it, Sian.
Yes.
Right? And then our own brother Bob, years later, would write something called One Love. Let's get together and be all right. And in one part of it, he says this: let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. That is his words. That is Marley who said that. Robert Nesta Marley who said that. You understand? So thanks again, right? And I wish you both and our listeners, the rest of St. Vincent, a great day. All right. You can talk some more.
Have a good one, Richard. Take care, buddy.
All right.
All the best.
Later. All right.
All right. That was the voice of, and for those of you who are on the live, of Dr. Richard Byron Cox, bringing some perspective to our discussion this morning. We thank you so much for being a part of the program. We thank you for staying locked with us. And we hope that this morning's discussion has given you some information about the other side of this unfortunate, long-standing situation, conflict that has been going on in the Middle East. And we pray that both sides are exercise some restraint and that there is more serious consideration of the innocence that is affected, innocent lives, men, women, and children during this entire conflict. This is where we come to the end of the program today. We want you taking a song from the brother Papi. He was singing about apartheid, but the song runs deep. And we hope that you get some inspiration from it. Until next week, Monday, God's willing, when Danny and I come back. Have yourself a good Friday and all the best for the weekend.
Silence is golden, that's what they say. But look where we get today. Feel like we've been silent for way too long. The wrong man ruled the father's land, while the black man is still trod upon. How long should we remain mute while all this is going on? Well, I pray for my blood brother, and I pray for the oppressor. For no man should suffer just because of his color. So if you love justice, equal rights and want peace the world over, then something must be done right now to help free South Africa. Come on, so raise your voice, apartheid is wrong. All support will make your brothers strong. Don't depend on someone else when you help your brother, you help yourself. So those of us living over here who feel we're free and don't have to care, get this clear, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. Yeah, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. The world advances more every day. At least that's what they say. But it's over 400 years since Africa been this way. Many were dragged away in shame. They brand us, they change our name. We've lost many lives and liberties, but our true roots we will maintain. So remember your history, how we survived the journey, but the struggle ain't over until all mankind is free. But there are political systems all over the world designed to make men suffer, and we've got to change them all. Let's start with South Africa. Come on, raise your voice, apartheid is wrong. Your moral support will make your brothers strong. Don't depend on someone else when you help your brother, you help yourself. So those of us living over here who feel we're free and don't have to care, get this clear, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. Do you get? No man is free until all men are free everywhere. They tell us two wrongs don't make a right, so it is foolish that we should fight. But I'd rather be a fool than be oppressed both day and night. Today so many African children die, seems like the world still ignore their cry. But that won't stop the struggle none, they know the price for love is high. Then they talk about International Year of Peace, and we look like all this violence would cease. But peace is a luxury to South African neighbor East. Cause you can't have peace without true unity of culture, class and color. And that's what we're looking for when we look at South Africa. Come on, so raise your voice, apartheid is wrong. Your moral support will make your brothers strong. Don't depend on someone else when you help your brother, you help yourself. So those of us living over here who feel we're free and don't have to care, get this clear, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. Do you hear? No man is free until all men are free everywhere. A wonderful place this world would be if we just learn to treat each other irate. Let's work for a better life of humanity. Remember that is one God made us all. He made us black, white, great and small. So it's the duty of every man to act.
Hello.
What are you saying?
No.
For our own future, but to make this a better world, especially for the children of South Africa. Come on, raise your voice up, apartheid is wrong. Your morals supposed to make you good and strong. Don't depend on someone else when you help your brother, you help yourself. So those of us living over here, feel we're free and don't have to fear. Yet it's clear, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. Yeah, no man is free until all men are free everywhere. Sing it loud and clear. No man is free until all men are free everywhere. Now sing, yeah. No man is free until all men are free everywhere. Freedom everywhere. No man is free until all men are free.
Immortal Constructions.
Boss, I can't come to work today, nah.
Oh, why?
I have VHV.
What's that?
The Vinci heat virus.
Never heard of it.
Because it just come out today.